Jason McCourty has volunteered to join us for today's call. Thank you very much, Jason. We have 35 participants on the video conference here. They'll cue me to ask a question. I'll call on them and we'll go in the order of which they've raised their hands to ask a question. I think we'll get started here with Alan Siegel, followed by Ben Volen.
Hi, Jason. How you doing these days?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. A lot of hanging out at the house.
There you go. Hey, Jason, sort of an offbeat question to start things. Obviously, you guys are competitive. There's no doubt about that. But you got changes with the team offensively and defensively. You got the changes that with OTAs, with video conferencing, with virtual things, being at home a lot. So I'm wondering if with all the challenges, more challenges than normal, your competitive juices are flowing even more than they would be to meet all these extra challenges.
I guess so, but I look at it as it's the NFL. I mean, obviously, what's going on without an offseason is a challenge and something that's going on globally. That's something that everybody is being forced to deal with. So that same question is posed to you guys and everybody that's going along with it. And as far as the things that are to the team, as far as offensive changes, defensive changes, to me, that's just part of the NFL. There's not one year to the next that you don't go through a number of changes, whether it's personnel, whether it's coaching, whether it's scheme. There's always going to be something from one season to the next that's going to be a challenge, that's going to have change, that's going to force people to step up, force different roles on people. And I think that's the unique thing about our league is each year is a new opportunity for anybody to step up and make something of themselves.
Great. Thanks, Jason. Glad to see you have an audience, by the way.
Yeah, nonstop.
Next question, Ben Volen, followed by Chelsea McDonald. Followed by Dan Roach.
Hey, Jason. Thanks for doing this today. I hope you're staying sane through all this. I have a quick question, one about you and then one about one of your teammates. For you, just can you detail how you're staying in shape and how you're able to stay in football shape and get ready for a season during these crazy times?
I'm doing the same as I kind of normally would throughout the offseason. I'm one of the few guys that had an offseason injury that allows me to be in the building. So I've been able to still go about all my rehab and my things that I typically would do in the offseason. Obviously, it's different because it's not the same not having everybody there. Obviously, we're not doing OTA, so we're not practicing. But staying in shape for me has been relatively normal this offseason.
How many people have been in a similar situation, just rehabbing and around the stadium?
There's a few of us in there.
Is it weird being the only guys in the stadium?
At this point, no. I guess what constitutes as weird has dramatically changed throughout the last few months. We've been in it so long that this has become rather normal to us at this point.
And then I wanted to ask about your teammate, Patrick Chung. He last week got a restructured deal where he basically is guaranteed to come back for another season. In a couple of years, 2+ years here now in New England, what have you learned about how important he is to the defense?
You talk about a guy that's been in the league for so long and also has been in the same defense for so long. Pat is a guy that plays so many roles throughout our defense that you can ask him a question almost about any position, from D-line stuff to linebackers to safeties, and he'll pretty much know the answer. So I think when you have a guy that's that smart and then you mix that obviously with his ability, you have to be pretty athletic. And obviously he's a bigger, stronger guy that can play those roles. He's been huge. So I know for me getting there over these last few years, Chung came in the league the same year as I did. It's been fun to be able to be in the same meeting room, talk football with him and get to know him.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Yep.
Next question, Dan Roach, followed by Evan Lazar.
Jason, thanks for doing this. Sounds like you're doing well and as well as you can be with the little there's kids in the background, which is always nice. Just two questions. One, kind of a follow-up to what Ben was saying, from a guy who's in the facility in a rehab perspective, going forward, and it sounds like the NFL is trying to go forward. We've all been wondering whether there be any safety concerns. What are your concerns? And maybe you could allay those fears as you kind of have been to the facility. And what's that been like?
Right now, it's been normal. I guess normal in the sense that the numbers are so few that it's not anything that is different than anything that's going on throughout our country right now. You go to a grocery store, everybody has on a mask, has on gloves. You can't go to a gas station without someone doing the same. So I think in that regard, it's been normal to the practices that's gone on throughout every community. And I think moving forward, I think we all have fears. I think for me, fear of going back to work is no different than the fear of walking in a restaurant and sitting down to have dinner. So I think this is something that we're all going to have to deal with. At some point, we're going to start back up. Massachusetts and every other state around the country, as some in the South have already began to open up. So I think as players, we're going to go through the same fears that a lot of other people in our country are going to go through. And you gotta have to figure it out the best way. And when they tell us to come back to work, we have to, as individuals, make sure, hey, to my standard, I feel like, hey, this is safe enough. I'm ready to commit to it. I'm ready to do it. And if not, you got to go about whatever you feel is best for you and your family.
And my second question is just a thought on you and Devin being nominated for the 2020 Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award.
Very humbling. I think when you can be mentioned in the same sentence with Muhammad Ali, and obviously his impact on the world with how talented he was in his given sport, but what he was able to do off the field and the impact that he was able to make is huge. So just to be mentioned in the same sentence is a very humbling experience for me and Devin. I think the stuff we do off the field, you don't really do it for recognition or anything of that nature. But when you can do those things and be recognized, and it can bring more attention and more awareness, possibly more funds to the causes that you're fighting for, it makes a huge difference.
Thank you.
Looks like we might have lost the video portion of this, but we'll keep going. Evan Lazar is next, followed by Nora Princiati.
Hey, Jason, I just wanted to ask you quickly, just how are you feeling physically, and do you feel like you'll be a full go if and when training camp does start?
I'm feeling good. Just taking it step by step. Obviously, with everything going on, it's been a process where there's nothing to rush back to because you can't see anything in the very near future. There's no practice to look forward to. There's no mini camp to look forward to. So I'm feeling pretty good and just working every day to get better.
My actual question was just about how we hear a lot about how you guys train at both corner, safety, some guys play multiple positions. Just what has that experience been like for you in the Patriots defense, maybe learning a little bit of safety and corner? And I know your brother, did the same thing as well.
For me, it's been fun. I think the mental aspect of it, that challenge as an older guy has been really fun to put that on myself to see. When we're now at this point, being in my third season, when we're going over installs or doing things, I try to challenge myself and, all right, can I learn the entire defense? Can I understand what the nose technique or the defensive tackle is doing in this blitz and why he's doing it, and understand the call that Hightower may make when he sees this or that? And I think when you're able to do that, it makes, whether you're playing corner, safety, nickel, all of those positions, it makes it relatively easy. Because you understand in what ways the offense is trying to attack you, and you understand from a defensive perspective what are you giving up and the things that you have to defend against. So for me, it's been a blast getting here, being able to play inside, be able to play outside, and challenge myself, and also challenge the guys around me. I feel like as an older guy, if Dev, myself, Chung, of all of us are able to learn multiple roles and do things, it kind of sets a standard in a room where we're all trying to be as versatile as possible.
Thanks, Jason.
Yep.
Next question, Nora Princiati, followed by Mike Reese.
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. So obviously we do not have a lot of sports right now, but just a couple of things that, your old teammate Tom Brady played some golf for charity over the weekend. There's been a little bit of soccer. I'm just wondering if you've been watching any of the things that have been starting up or still going on, and if anything has struck you about, the creative ways that different leagues have tried to do a little bit, or, some of the out of the box stuff like the match and everything, and just if anything had struck you and if you've been seeing any of that.
The most sports I've watched during this thing is I'll go on NBA TV and sometimes they're playing old NBA games. I watched Allen Iverson in a playoff game way back when versus Toronto, Vince Carter and them. So that was fun. Honestly, I'm not a soccer fan. I'm not a golf fan. The only thing I saw from TB12 when then was he split his pants at one point and he sunk a hole in one. So I was happy to see he split his pants. The next time I see him, I got to give him a hard time. But no, I haven't. I saw they had NBA 2K tournaments, Madden tournaments, and all of that other stuff. But too many kids to really sit down and watch non-live type sports that I'm really into.
Thank you.
Mike Reese, followed by Mike Petraglia.
Awesome. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing well. What's up, Mike?
All right, everything's going well. I was thinking about what to ask you, and 2009 to 2020, in a way, you blink and it's a decade-long career, right, in the NFL. And I was curious, I don't know if you've talked about it, how much longer you sort of envision yourself continuing to do this?
I don't know. As long as it's fun and physically and mentally, I'm willing and able to do it. I think that's the big thing. Obviously, now, like you said, this is going into year 12, married, 3 kids. There's a lot of things that factor in. But I'm just trying to stay now and stay in the present. For me right now, I very much want to be a part of the 2020 season and training my butt off to be able to help this team in any way possible in this upcoming season. And that's my only focus. When the season ends, then you can start to think what goes on after that. But it's such a privilege to be able to play in this league that I'm just trying to take advantage of each year that I have the opportunity to go out there and compete.
We'll go Mike Petraglia, followed by Michael Hurley.
Thanks a lot, Stacy. Thanks for doing this, Jason. Good to see you. Good to see you staying healthy. I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned your age to Mike and the years of experience in the NFL, but how much are you looking forward to working with some of the newer faces or even the younger faces that have been around a while in the secondary, guys like obviously Jonathan Jones or some of the other guys in that secondary that have really come along. J.C. Jackson was the other guy, obviously, I wanted to mention.
I love that part of it. I'm always talking to, I call him Gerald, but JC, I'm always giving him a hard time. I'm always on him. I feel like that's just a part of the game. When I first came into the league, I was in Tennessee. And I had guys like Cortland Finnegan, Hope, Michael Griffin, a ton of guys that were willing to pour into me and help me shape and to figure out how to be a pro, and whether it was the defense, whether it was life off the field. So for me, to be around JC, Jay Jones is a young vet in himself, but Jawan, all of those guys, being able to help them, whether it's questions about finance, questions about agents, or any of those different things, to be able to be just a sounding board. And then when we're out there competing, there's little things that experience teaches you. And for me, being able to play for multiple organizations, coaches, there's tidbits that you can kind of take from everywhere. And that's those guys know that's the one thing with me. Whatever question or anything that I have to share, I'm going to do so. So I love that fact. And I think that's the part that sucks right now, is we don't get a chance. Obviously, we have our virtual meetings, but you don't get a chance to be in the building and really get to know the new guys and catch up on what's gone on in the offseason and really kind of build that chemistry right now.
Thanks, Jason. Stay healthy.
Yep. Thank you.
We'll go Michael Hurley, followed by Ian Steele.
Jason, I'll join the chorus of thanking you for taking time with us today. Just want to ask you, there's a rule change being voted on this week for offenses to get a chance to go with a 4th and 15 play after scoring instead of an onside. It's generally been looked at from the offensive side, but I want to get the defensive player's opinion on that, the chance to really make a play. I'm sure you've spent time on a hands team before, but your chance to play your position in a game-changing situation like that.
I don't know. I mean, I think from the competitive side, as especially a defensive back, you don't mind that pressure going out there, 4th and 15 or whatever the down and distance. It's all right, we got to show up to win the game. But it's just like conversely, if I'm a team and I've earned the right to be up, we've made the plays necessary to be winning in the 4th quarter or whatever it might be, I have a chance to go seal the game by just catching an onside kick versus being out there for a 4th and 15. From that standpoint, it's like I don't really understand it. We are now basically rewarding you for being behind, and that's the only thing that for me is a negative of it. But at the same time, we're in the entertainment business, and onside kick versus a 4th and 15 is a lot more intriguing. So we have no control over it. If they vote yes, then we'll be out there preparing situationally how to stop 4th and 15s with the game on the line.
Thanks.
Go 2 final questions. Ian Steele, followed by Meg O'Brien.
Jason, thanks again for taking the time. Appreciate it.
No problem.
You mentioned you've been going into the facility. Have other players been there at the same time as you? How is that working?
We're following all the guidelines, and we're all figuring it out and making it work.
When you go into the facility, does it help give you a little bit of a break from quarantine life, the camaraderie with either the guys that are there or the staff that's helping you rehab? Does that give you a little bit of a break from quarantine life there, and what's that like for you?
Not really, because when we're there, there's nothing to talk about other than quarantine life. So I don't think there really is a break to take from it. I think obviously the state of Massachusetts, for the most part, phase 1 is starting back up, but everything is still mostly shut down. So we're all still doing the same thing, and it's kind of throughout the country. Like as we get on our virtual meetings, guys are all kind of doing the same thing. You're finding your window or your time where you go work out, whether that's at a field, whether someone that owns a gym and it's just maybe you and that person. We're all kind of doing the same thing right now, because you can't be out and about. So you go, you get your workout in, you come home, and you're there all day until you go and do the same thing the next day.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
Final question will be Megan O'Brien. Go ahead, Megan.
Hi, Jason. Thanks so much for taking the time today. In your answer to Mike Petraglia, you were talking about your role as a leader, especially in the secondary with those younger players. One of those, Joanne Williams, we didn't see a ton of him last year, but obviously you worked with him a lot every day at practice. What stood out about Joanne in his rookie campaign and just how he adjusted to life in the NFL?
He loves to compete, and I think that's something that you need. And obviously, at our position, when you're in the back end, any mistake can be a 70-yard touchdown or a game-changing play. So I think you got to have guys that are willing to go out there every single day and compete their butts off and get better. And that's what he did last year. As a rookie, he came in, he was willing to learn, he was willing to listen, and I felt like every day when we went out there on the practice field, he got better. And I think not only for him being a rookie, but for all of us as a team, that's what the process is about, whether you're in year 1 or you're in year 12. Every day you got to show up with a willingness to compete, to prove that you belong there, and a willingness to get better and listen to coaching. I think whether it's Jawan, whether it was D'Angelo before he got hurt, Malik, all of the guys, young guys came in and they were willing to listen to the older guys, listen to the coaches, and really do everything that was asked of them on a daily basis to make sure they were making the necessary movements forward to get better as a football player.
Did Joanne prove to you that he belongs?
I mean, he went to Vanderbilt, so that's a little bit of a knock on him. In the SEC, they're one of the weaker schools, but other than that, yeah, he definitely did.
Thank you.
No problem.
Jason, thank you very much for taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
No problem. Good
Thanks.
to see you guys.